Off the shelf. War of the States, Gettysburg, 1863. So it is the Confederate, I guess you call it activation phase, I guess, but we still have to determine, oh yeah, it's still an attempt to activate formations. So again, I use my, I don't know if notional is the right word, but Lee, who is the Army commander but not on the board, his initiative rating is 4 there. So I roll 1 die. Low is good because we subtract that die roll from his initiative. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the Confederates get to activate 3 formations. There's only hill on the board, so it is just hill. Okay, so now, so all of the formations on the Confederate side activated, in this case effectively just 1, Hill's corps there, get to conduct their cavalry charge, attachment, bombardment, movement, and assault in order. So Hill has infantry division, Heath 2, or the second half of Heath's division there. First half of Heath's division back here, Hill, and a couple of artillery units. So in general, well, they're gonna, yeah, they want to attack the Union cavalry, Buford's cavalry here on the rise here, the ridge line. And to do that, there are no cavalry charges. There is no Confederate cavalry on the board right now, and no cavalry charges anyways, no attachments. So bombardment comes before movement and assault. So obviously the Confederate artillery is back here. So I think, and I would think, that the Confederate artillery could fire over these units, in this case friendly units, although I don't think it matters. I think that the artillery should be able to fire over this intervening unit to the targets here. Let's see, I think they want to attack, I don't know. All right, I have 2 artillery units. All right, I guess for mechanics purposes, we'll break it up. This unit will attack this area 245. This artillery will fire, bombard this area 246. Tactically, I think I would rather mass that fire, but let's just get some mechanical runs here. But first of all, can they fire over, and then we'll do the bombardment. Okay, to go over this real quick again, bombardment again real quickly, we'll start with this unit firing on that target area. So again, okay, so it's active. This is active because this is part of Hill's 3rd Corps, yes. So, well, I'll be real blunt here. So 3rd Corps, I'm also picking up after a few days break, so 3rd Corps, so same corps, so it's active. May bombard enemy occupied areas within range, so the range is 3. That's what the 1, 2, 3 colored triangles there mean. So range is 3. That's obviously 1, 2 area of 2, range of 2 areas, and line of sight. Check the line of sight rules, and sure enough, you can fire over blocking terrain. And in infantry division, a long unit there. Oh yeah, I guess I should specify it's a long unit. Is blocking terrain, but because the unit target is up there on that ridge, they are higher, and so they can fire over. Okay, restrictions. Since they're bombarding, they're not going to be able to move. But okay, we want to get let's do the bombardment anyways. So the bombarding player, the Confederate in this case, indicates the target area. Totals the modified strength of all participating artillery units, and so it's 2. Again, it's combat and morale in alphabetical order. So combat strength of 2, morale of 4. And so we're just going to roll 2 six-sided die for the strength of the unit. Oh, we actually got our first hit. 6 and a 3. So we're going to hit on a 6 modifiers. Again, artillery is firing at defender's flank or rear. That's not the case. Firing units, heavy artillery, not the case. Defending units are densely stacked. No, they're not densely stacked. And artillery units directing the fire. So we don't have any modifiers, so it's hits on 6s. And we got a hit. So how are we going to assess our loss, our one loss? I find this very interesting. Under the bombardment rules, there's a voluntary retreat. Units bombarded may voluntarily retreat one area after being bombarded. This retreat does not reduce the number of step losses and may not be performed if it would result in retreating units entering an area adjacent to an enemy unit. Yeah, but it does not reduce any losses. So we still have to assess this loss. I guess it's the same as... I guess it's the same as assault losses. Interesting. I wonder if there's any difference between bombardment losses and assault losses. Oh, I think I do see. It is not the same as assault losses. If you get a hit, you take a step loss, owning player's choice. And then you may voluntarily retreat one area if you satisfy those requirements. Okay, so Buford will take a step loss. So just to clarify again, since this is the first loss of the game, Buford 1 cavalry, or first unit Buford's cavalry there, is on the A step. We flip it over to its B step. And so now it went from 4-5, a strength of 4, morale of 5, down to a strength of 3, but still morale of 5. And notice that we went from, not that there's anything, I don't think there's anything specific in the graphic, but we just generally went from 5 horsed figures there to 4 cavalry figures there. I think that's just a visual representation of a reduction in strength. Okay, so that was that artillery attack, and the other one's going to be not any different. So that artillery against that area. Oh, we got another hit. Okay, so here we have the choice of the horse cavalry or the horse. Okay, I'm going to Buford. Second Buford cavalry there is going to take a step loss. So, and not retreat, and not voluntarily retreat. So that was our bombardment step. Just one more thing, I am going to use my own markers to remind myself, not that I really need the reminder, but just to go through the steps. I would, in a full game, I would definitely, for myself, I would, in a full game, use my own markers to indicate that they've bombarded, so they can't move in the very next segment. But these infantry, let's see. All right, but we have movement and then assault, and I know at least that division is going to assault. So the Confederates are kind of, I don't know, blocking themselves here. They're coming in column here, so there is no movement. We're already adjacent to the enemy. Hill is going to go ahead and take Heath's division number 2, part 2, no, second half. Yeah, the second half of Heath's division, and assault up the rise there against Buford and his reduced cavalry there. Attacking is always voluntary. There isn't going to be a train difference here because the defender fires with an extra die versus attackers not on the same rise. Otherwise, I think this is just going to be a straightforward assault. Okay, so right away, I forgot that attacking is simultaneous fire. So in general, this will be simultaneous fire. Each side fires against each other, so Buford will get the extra die for being on the rise. But I know I want Buford to try to withdraw. So the question, of course, is there cavalry retreat before combat, since it's Buford and cavalry against Hill and his infantry? Okay, so there is cavalry retreat before combat. Player may elect to attempt to retreat light cavalry. Oh, is this light cavalry? You know, I just assumed this was light cavalry. Okay, interesting. I did a real quick check, and I don't see that specified anywhere. So I'll go ahead and assume it's light cavalry, given the American Civil War state of cavalry, I guess. Okay, before combat takes place, after the active player indicates the attack. An area containing light cavalry. Before the attack is resolved, the defending player rolls 1 die for each light cavalry unit in the area. May not choose to retreat. Okay. Oh, so you have to, if you attempt to retreat one, you have to attempt to retreat them all. So it's a morale check. The unit may retreat one. Okay, so 2. So Buford's cavalry is very high morale. Even though it lost that step, its morale is still 5 there. So it easily passes the morale check. Now, I assume a leader like Buford doesn't have to check. So I had Buford's cavalry retreat along the road there to take advantage of the road later. There is a blanket. When a unit advances or retreats, a unit can advance or retreat with that unit. So I assume that blanket statement applies here. So that's that. So then, I guess they would get to advance. Whenever an area is vacated as a result of combat, including an area vacated by retreating light cavalry, units that participate in the attack may advance into the vacated area. So up the rise, and they fit like that. And so they take the rise. You know, I almost passed up this opportunity to get the right facing. So what I did is I adjusted the division there, Heath 2 division, second half of 1st Division. I oriented them that way so that the white line that bisects the unit, the long ways, that line, if you draw out mentally, extend that line to each side. This area 246 with the other cavalry, is to the front of that division. So basically, and well, as well this unit. So all the Union are now to the front of that division. So there, we're done with that assault with cavalry retreat before combat and advance.